Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to the SFC interviews here with former Stevenage goalkeeper Dean Greygoose today. So, how's things, Dean? Of course, it's very unprecedented.
I work at Cambridge United with the academy, so I've still been able to do some coaching and some kind of normality, But it's been very difficult for everyone, hasn't it? To be fair.
Absolutely, yeah. And let's go into before I actually go into your time at Stevenage. I just kind of got a few sort of generic questions, really. And have you always been involved in football from a young age?
Yes, from when I can remember, when I can walk or run. Yeah, I've just got there's some old photographs about me when I was about 2 kicking the ball about. So my family, or my dad and my granddad and my uncle all played football. So yes, it's in the genes or in the family, to be fair.
Okay, and of course, another question as well is: have you always fancied yourself as a goalkeeper? Did you ever, try yourself as an outfield player in any positions?
To be fair, my dad was an outfield player. So actually, I started off as a midfield player, if I remember, and I think I went in goal when I was about 10 or 11. Basically, someone got injured in a game. Actually, I think it was a Butlins holiday camp, and just joined in. I think the goalie got injured, and I went in goal and found I was okay at it, and sort of basically got stuck in there really for 40 years. So I did start off as an outfield player, which I think helped me later on in my career when they put the back pass rule in, and goalies had to start to play out from the back.
Okay, and of course, you mentioned there, of course, being a goalkeeper as well, and the fact you did play outfield for a little while. And who were your sort of role models and inspirations, sort of growing up from a young age in the footballing world?
I can't remember as an outfield player. Probably Johan Cruyff, I think. Probably Johan Cruyff as an outfield player. That's one skill I could do, was the old Johan Cruyff. The Cruyff turn. That's one thing I could do. To be fair, I think I actually tried to do it against Stevenage when I was at Northwich, and I think I actually nicked my cartilage. So I probably was never. Wow. If Stevenage fans probably remember, I think I crumpled in a heap, and probably the last time I tried to do a Cruyff turn. And I think as a goalie, Pat Jennings was my hero, I suppose. Obviously, you had people like Joe Corrigan, Peter Shilton, Ray Clements, but probably Pat Jennings was my sort of real hero when I was growing up as a goalie.
Okay, let's move into your time at Stevenage now then, and what was it that kind of attracted you to move to Broadhall Way and work under Paul Fairclough?
Well, basically the story was we moved back down to Cambridge. I played most of my pro career in the Northwest. Was dropping down the leagues. I was actually thinking about, it might be time to retire. I think I was 38. My wife got a good job down here. I live in Cambridge area, which everyone knows is expensive. So I moved back. And to be fair, I spoke to Kevin Hales, assistant manager I knew very well, my times at Orient and when he was manager at Welling. And he sorted me out with a couple of clubs. I think it was a trials. That was with Borough Wood and I think Bishop Stortford. And then suddenly, to be fair, he rang me after a week and said, "Look, Dean, do you still think you can do it at conference level? We've got a reserve game. I can't remember what it was now. We've got a reserve game. We're looking for another keeper. Come and play." Played okay. And to be fair, trained that week. I think it was the last pre-season game Stevenage had at home. Played a half in that. And then to be fair, Paul Fairclough said, "Look, do you fancy signing for us? You're going to start as number 2, but..." And to be fair, mate, I jumped at the chance. I've always had a lot of respect for Stevenage. Always loved playing against Stevenage. I think it was a team you knew, especially under Paul Fairclough. If you got anything out of the game, you had to play well. They was big and tough and well organised, but could play. And especially at conference level, they really were a force to be reckoned with. So I jumped at the chance to play for the club. To be fair.
And of course, you mentioned Paul Fairclough there as well, the manager. And what was he like to play under, and what did you sort of learn off of Paul as well?
To be fair to Paul, it was different to what I expected because Stevenage were always very tough to play against. I expected him to be sort of the old school manager, shout and scream and tell people off and all that. But he was very calm, very organised. Learned a couple of things. It was probably the first time I've sat in the change room. We've won a game, and he sat down and all started clapping each other. It was different. It was a different environment, and probably an environment that has grown into football now anyway. But I love working for him. He was very honest. My only regret really was I didn't move back this way earlier and play for a couple of years for Stevenage when perhaps I could have played some more games. And probably at 38, 39, I was starting to drop down the leagues and wasn't really at my peak. I had a lot of good years the Pro Footballing Conference. But hopefully Stevenage saw glimpses of my best, but probably Stevenage didn't see the total best of me, if that makes sense. I came in as a number 2 and played okay, but probably not to my best I could have done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you were signed, as you mentioned, originally to be a backup to Paul Wilkerson. And what was it like to compete alongside Paul for that number 1 spot? Of course, in the outfield positions, you kind of got more of an opportunity of getting in, but for the goalkeeper, of course, it's only that 1 spot.
Yeah, I think it was unusual for me. I think I was from sort of 21, 22, I was used to being a first team goalie, and basically, it was sort of coming to the end of my career, like a year at Altrincham, and obviously spent at Stevenage. I was sort of brought in as a number 2, which was strange for me, and I think I was used to being a number 1 and all the pressure that went with that. But I enjoyed it. Paul was a good guy. We worked hard together. I think I sort of led the training. We didn't have a goalie coach, so I sort of led it a little bit. But it was good, and it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable.
And let's have a look what we're going to cover over next. So you made your debut for the club in a narrow loss to Dagenham and Redbridge in October 2010. And when you come in there, that was, of course, I think Paul was Paul injured, or was he suspended in that game? I think was he injured, if I remember correctly?
Right. Well, this was weird, really, because basically I was working with the college scheme that day. I was number 2. Paul was playing well. I think he had an injury, but I thought he'd be all right. So I actually trained with the youngsters. Didn't really prepare as if to play. I thought I'd be number 2. We were doing the warm up at Dagenham, and suddenly Paul just went, "I'm injured. I can't play." Yeah. I went, "Yeah, all right, you're taking the mick." And he just went in, and next thing I've got 10 minutes prepared to play. And that was quite interesting. I've been in that position before, I suppose, but that was like my debut was like thrust on me. I had no time to think, no time to sort of really prepare. I think I had 10 minutes. I think I did 10 minutes, a little bit of handling, whatever, just to get my head right. And I think I did okay. But we lost that game 1-0. I think it was a tight game. I think their goalie made a couple of good saves. Really enjoyable game from what I remember, but obviously you play to win. So
sure.
That was a bit disappointing, but I did enjoy it.
And if you look, in the next couple of games, you actually played against Woking in your second game as well in a 1-1 draw. And what are your memories of those sort of derby days against the likes of Woking, and also there was the FA Cup tie with Kettering in there as well?
Yeah, I mean Woking. I can't remember. I can remember bits of the game. I mean, it was a draw. It was weird, really. It was. I think that season was a real period of where we just drew too many games. Games. Because there was pressure on us to win. But I did enjoy the Woking game. I mean, to be fair, when I was at Northwich or Altrincham or Chester, every time we played Woking, it was all really good atmosphere. They've got good fans like Stevenage. They really get behind the team, and that was a tough place to go and play at any time. I mean, if I remember the game really, again, it was just a draw. It wasn't a great game. It was strange, really. It just seemed a draw was a fair result. Neither team did enough to win, and it just come away feeling not flat, but a little bit like we just needed to kickstart at the time. I think we were doing okay, but only okay. And obviously on to Kettering, that was another big derby. I mean, Kettering fans, cool. I played against them so many times. They used to give me loads and loads of stick. But in the end, to be fair, I think most of them quite well. Let's say they like me, but a bit of respect. And I do remember warming up, and they actually said, "Oh, what are you doing going over to the dark side? I can't believe you side for Stevenage." I remember the first game being 0-0. I don't think I had a lot to do. I remember the away game. I think we had a couple of players dropped out, and basically I think we lost 2-1. I had a good game. I think I should have done better on the winning goal if I remember, but I did have a good game. But again, I think it was just a bit of a stop-start season at Stevenage. I think we never really got going, and that was a disappointing result and a disappointing night, to be fair.
And you mentioned there in regards to that Kettering game, and the fact we were knocked out in the end over the replay as well. But let's have a look here. So you kept your first clean sheet in a game against Forest Green.
Yes.
And if you look at that back line as well, there were some good players in the back line. The likes of Sam Sodji, John Dreyer, Jason Goodliff as well. And sort of how important is it to have those guys in front of you? And how sort of does that make you feel? Does that make your job as a goalkeeper that little bit easier?
Yes, of course. I think the goalie is only as good as a defence. Obviously, you are expected to make good saves and everything else. If I remember the Forest Green game was just a draw. It was always going to be a draw. I think again, a couple of sort of okay saves. I think we had a couple of chances, but again, you just come away thinking, yeah, we're a good side. But again, that back four was good lads as well. Obviously, John Dray, vast experience. Jason Goodliff, good player. Obviously Soji, yeah, good player and could do some rash things. But he was, basically it was a good team a good defence to play behind. And
of course,
sorry.
No, I was going to say, was Jason the skipper at that point as well?
Cool. Now you're asking me. I think so. You're testing me now, mate. It's 19 years ago. I think he was. To be fair. I think he was.
And of course, he's a great skipper to have as well. He's up there certainly with the likes of Ronnie Henry and other great skippers like Mark Roberts in latter years for Stevenage fans as well. And Jason was a very good centre back and a very good skipper as well. And you could see the quality that Jason brought. And I spoke to Jason as well, and he's doing very well for himself. He's over at Sutton as assistant manager there at the moment, so he's getting on well there. Yeah,
good. Yeah, he was a good guy. He was a really good guy.
So let's have a look in regards to some of the other players in that squad as well. There was some real talent. There was obviously Sam McMahon, Adrian Clark as well.
Yeah.
The likes of Sigar, Darren Hay, DJ Campbell, Robin Trott as well, Kirk Jackson, Scott Houghton as well. Some really good players there. And as you kind of touched on, I think it was the draws that kind of let the club down to the fact we finished. Was it about 11th, I think, in the table in the end?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it was weird because all the clubs I've been to over the years, it's probably the only club I felt the pressure. You could actually, sounds really weird, but you went in, went in the change rooms, you could feel the pressure to succeed. And I think for whatever reason we didn't click. I know Paul tried it. Paul and Kevin were great, and they tried their best to try to get things, but there never seemed any. We never got a run of wins together, Paul played a bit, and I got in, and he changed it around a little bit. You could sense Paul was trying to get the chemistry right, but we never quite got it. I mean, there were some good players on that side, and when we did click, we played well, but there was something missing. It's hard to, when you look back, it's very hard to put your finger on it, but there was something missing from the team or from the squad, and I don't know what it was. But we didn't have enough there to go and win the league.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, really, or a part of it is, did you believe that we underachieved in the league that season with the kind of squad that we had?
I just don't think we ever got going. I don't know how to explain it, but we had good players, but in my opinion, it's not the best players that win the league; it's the best team, and we weren't the best team for whatever reason. Whatever reason that was. I don't know. I've looked back at it now. I manage semi-pro level, and you're always looking for that combination or that group that's going to be successful. And we just didn't have it. I don't know why. Did we need another bit of experience in another position, one player somewhere just to kickstart it? I mean, we never got smashed, but we never smashed anyone either. Yeah, we didn't have that killer edge or killer bit in the group, and
you say we never got smashed. There was one game in there I didn't want to touch on, but Farnborough game.
I can't remember that one. I can't. Don't even go there. Yeah, I do remember that one. Unfortunately, yes. I think, I don't think we turned up. I don't think I definitely didn't turn up. I don't think I can't remember the goals really, but I don't think I was awful. But I just days you turn up, and as a team we were poor that day. I was trying to forget that one. Thank you.
I wanted to forget it as well, but they do stick with you sometimes, unfortunately. Yeah. So let's have a look here. So what was your relationship like with the chairman and some of the other members of the board there as well, the backroom staff, and the guys like Clive and guys like that as well? Did you have a good rapport with those sort of guys?
I think so. Very good. I always got on well with the guys. I think I was an older player as well, so I think I hopefully earned a little bit of respect from these chaps. I mean, when I did leave, oh my God, one of the directors rang me and had a real good chat, and we left on very good terms. And as I say, I was gutted I didn't play for the club longer and earlier. But no, they seemed good guys. The club is a good club. I don't know how it is now, but it was a very good club, very friendly club. Made myself and my family welcome, and nothing was too much bother, mate. And I'm probably just a little bit gutted that I wasn't able to help you guys or be part of a real successful Stevenage team.
And of course, it must have been great to play at Broadhall Way there with the East Terrace rocking as well. And I'm sure when you see the club going in the direction that it's going now as an established league club as well, it's great for you to see that, and to see where the club have got to in regards to the completion of the stadium and everything like that now.
Yeah, look, I played against Stevenage when they first came up into the conference. Really enjoyed playing against them. There's a good feel about the club. I go back that quite a bit because I coach at Cambridge and we play Stevenage under 18s, under 16s quite regularly. Yeah. I know one or two of the guys that work at Stevenage. I've actually took a loan player from Stevenage a couple of years ago, one of the young lads. So yeah, I mean, it's great to see that the club is still in pro football, and it's good to see where they've come. And when I drive past the ground, you can see it took ages to finish that stand, didn't it? But it's now finished now, is it?
It's finished. It did take quite a while. And actually, it was, I think it was, when fans were sort of semi-allowed to go back in again.
Yes.
It was basically around that time. And I think there might have been one, might have been two, might have possibly been 3 games where there were fans in that stand there. And then obviously the restrictions were put back in place again.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been bad, isn't it, for football, not allowing the fans. No, I mean, it was always a good atmosphere, at Stevenage. And I think, to be fair to the fans, even though we underachieved, they weren't too bad. I think Paul Fairclough was a legend at the club anyway. Yeah. But you didn't feel they stayed behind the team reasonably well. I think they did stay behind the team. They didn't become too negative, and obviously they had a right to moan because we were underachieving. But I remember them actually being okay, the fans, and even in the bar end of the game, if we hadn't played well, they still tried to get around us and still tried to lift the lads. So I mean, I only remember my time at Stevenage as being very, very positive and a very enjoyable season.
And that's great as well that you've got some really good positive memories there. And in later years, the club have managed to move into the Football League, and we're progressing very highly actually under Graham Wesley as well. I don't know how much you sort of followed the club at that point. When they won the conference and gained promotion through the playoffs in League Two, and got to the League One playoffs as well. And that was a big surprise to a lot of people, but not Stevenage fans, because Stevenage fans know certainly what Graham could do, and that squad was a really good squad, and that's what people do tend to say, in fact, is if you win the conference, you can kind of kick on and go up a league or two on the back of that as well.
Yeah, football's about momentum, and again, like I touched on earlier, if you get the right team in, it's not just about the players, it's about getting the right squad and the right team and the backroom staff and the whole club in the right direction. You win the conference, then you should go into the next season with a winning mentality, and a real, I don't explain it, like it's a nice challenge. You go in there and you can't wait, and that momentum will take you a long way. Obviously then when you start going up a level, then money comes into it, and teams will find you out a little bit as well. So whatever success you've built on, usually by the time you play a team second or third time, they'll have worked you out a little bit, and that's where sometimes you get stuck as a club. You do so well, catch teams out by surprise, but next time you play them, or the next level you play these teams, sometimes you can come unstuck a little bit, and you have to find a different way. And unfortunately, it comes down to money sometimes to get different players in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't just the leagues as well. There was good FA Trophy runs as well, where we got to the final, and we actually won the final against Kidderminster, the first ever game at the new Wembley, and a couple of FA Cup games in there as well, where the club have beaten Newcastle and kind of got a bit of revenge for the late 1990s,
yes.
And then there's games against Tottenham as well, which the club got a 0-0 draw down here against Tottenham, and then took the lead at White Hart Lane as well. So there's certainly some good days for Stevenage fans, not just in the league but in the trophy and in the FA Cup as well.
Yeah, I watched them games. I watched the FA Trophy game live, and I think I watched the Spurs game, and watched the Newcastle game. So yeah, I mean, I do look. I mean, I've played and been involved with so many clubs now, but Stevenage is one of the clubs I always look for, see how they get on, and ups and downs of football, isn't it? Stevenage have had a few ups and downs, but I think they've had, Stevenage got a great reputation for cup football, and they're sort of inbred in what Paul Fairclough built at the club. That desire and teamwork, and successive managers have bought into that and added their own little bit to it.
That's right, and of course, you said about the ups and downs as well. And last season, the club very nearly went down, and the fact that we were kept in the league by getting a reprieve from Macclesfield, and that's fantastic to see Stevenage remaining as a football league club now. And I don't know how much you sort of have followed the club, but Alex Lavelle and his backroom staff have done a very good job this season in getting the club to a comfortable mid-table position as well.
No, they sort of they've done really well, and obviously last weekend they managed to beat Cambridge, which obviously put our sort of celebrations on hold. So obviously he's done a good job, mate, and he steadied the ship. And obviously when you're near the bottom of the league, everyone panics a little bit. You've worked so hard to get out of the conference, you don't want to go back into it, because I think that year by year that seems to get harder and harder to get out of. So obviously he's done well. 10th, if you finish in the top half this season, that'd be great. Everyone will be a sigh of relief and look forward to next year. Yeah,
it's not bad when you finish in the top half and do the double over Cambridge, is it?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, you're right, though. You're right. I know there's a little bit of it's a local derby, isn't it? There's been a lot of big games between the teams over the years, hasn't there? So I think. So there's always a little, there's not an edge to our games, even at under 18s, but there's always a friendly rivalry when we play Stevenage.
And that's great. And of course, you said you're involved with the under 18s there as well. So if you come up against a side managed by Ronnie Henry and a side, I think it's Jamal Campbell-Rice involved there as well.
I think that we played Stevenage 23s the other week. I think we won, to be fair. Right. I think. Was Henry in charge of it? I'm trying to think now, mate, to be fair. But we play Stevenage quite regularly, 18, 16s, the younger ages, and we've had a couple of 23s games against them when I've been at Cambridge. And I think, to be fair, we've always done quite well, to be fair, against Stevenage. So apart from the first team, perhaps. But, at youth level, we do quite well, to be fair.
And then the first team, Cambridge do well against Stevenage as well. There was that not FA Cup. There was the playoff game as well, when Stevenage, of course, were winning. Was it 3-1? I think it was, and Cambridge won in extra time with Scott Rendell getting a last-minute extra time goal, and that kind of it's kind of good that Stevenage have managed to get a little bit of revenge on Cambridge for that. But we can't begrudge Cambridge their day, and of course Cambridge will certainly go up as well, and fair play for that.
Well, I hope so. And again, touching on what we said earlier, again, Mark Bonner at Cambridge, he's done his apprenticeship. He's worked at Cambridge all the way through from under 8s to the first team. I've known Mark on and off for a few years. Again, they haven't got the biggest budget, but he's got a team that fight for each other. They've recruited really well. They've got a well-organised team. There's no egos, but they just work hard for each other, and they're a team. They're a team that deserve to go up. Hopefully we'll clinch it this Friday. I don't want to be going into the last game. We need to get something at Harrogate, and we can celebrate then and look forward to a new challenge next year. Yeah, and I think that's good for Cambridge as well. And of course, that makes it a little bit harder for Stevenage. Of course, if Cambridge do get promoted into what's going to be League One. The fact that they're already in a catchment area, which already includes the likes of Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, West Ham, Watford, Luton, Crystal Palace, it's certainly difficult for Stevenage to attract the fans. But the fans, to be fair, are very loyal fans that brought away, and we'll always stick by the team, whether it's going well or not. Yeah, and I mean, perhaps it's because I'm old, but I haven't enjoyed watching Premiership football with VAR and no crowds and some abysmal refereeing, even with VAR. So I'd much rather, if I'm honest, I've enjoyed more watching under 18s or 23s games or the occasional non-league game. That's just me. Perhaps I'm just getting old. So I think there's still a big place for clubs like Cambridge and Stevenage, and as long as VAR don't come into our level, just the not the old style football. That's not quite right, but exciting football where it's not stopped and it's just a bit of excitement, and not too much diving and not too much. I don't know. I just don't like watching some of the Premiership football, and it probably just shows my age, mate. To be honest.
No, it's certainly understandable because this season's been a weird season for a lot of results as well, and there's been some good games, but I do understand your point there as well. And Russ has put a question in here now, and he says, "What have you made to the games without the fans in due to the ongoing pandemic?" And is that something that you kind of played in? Did you play in many sort of behind closed doors games?
No, never. I don't think ever did. No, I mean that's the thing. Even pre-season games, you have crowds in, so it's very surreal. And I watch it. It doesn't seem real football to me. You can hear everything the players and manager says. There's no crowd. I think the games have been different. I think the referee different. Best will in the way, the crowds do influence games. I think they influence players as well. Some players seem to play differently with the crowds and the big games. It just doesn't seem real to me, mate. And so I struggle to watch it. I must admit, I do struggle to watch it. Even the big games, especially if they get a bit boring. There are certain teams that go 1-0 up and just defend, and then VAR gets involved, and I'll turn off and rather watch the clips from the under-18s, the goalkeepers I work with, or whatever. I'd rather watch that, to be honest.
No, that's fair enough. And of course, you mentioned in regards to the VAR side of it there as well, and that's right, really, as well. The rules in the VAR change so frequently that you don't know whether to celebrate because there might be an offside, or the rules of the VAR, even the handball and everything, has literally changed a couple of times this season, and it's just frustrating for fans as well, because fans obviously want to celebrate and if their team scored a goal, but they've got to wait like 5 minutes to actually get the all clear from the referee and the officials.
Yeah, no, exactly, and it's just it's getting too much like American sport, and I think the biggest thing about football, especially English football, has been excitement. The excitement, the energy. We can all go and shout at the referees and shout, encourage your players, shout at the other players. I think, in my opinion, VAR has taken that away from the game. I think the goal line technology, yes, we all needed that. We all big goals that have been missed because of VAR, but because of the goal line technology. But I don't know, the way we use VAR it's ruining football for me, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think that's right as well, and it's going to take a lot to get it back to the good old days of back from 15, 20 years ago. So what have you made of the work that the club have done in the local community during the pandemic as well? And I'm sure Cambridge would have done exactly the same as Stevenage, and in fact I think all 72 clubs have been given an award for all of their community work as of yesterday as well, if I believe to be correct.
Yeah, I think professional football and some of the clubs get a lot of stick, but I think clubs like Stevenage, Cambridge do work very hard in the community because they have to attract the fans and attract the players. But I think professional clubs, I know what Cambridge have done, how much they've done. I think it's been really, really good, and hopefully that will continue once we get back to normal.
And so let's have a look on here now. We've got let's have a look. What was I going to touch on next? So yeah, of course. We touched on that bit there. So, of course, the men and the women's team are both now sponsored by Burger King as well. And how important is that to kind of include the women involved, into the clubs as well now with like SFC women for Stevenage and Cambridge. Have Cambridge got a ladies' side as well?
Yes, Cambridge have a ladies' side. And to be fair, my son and my future daughter-in-law actually were involved at Cambridge United Ladies, so they played Stevenage. So yeah, I mean, ladies football and girls football it's taken off massively, and I think that and so right, football now in the last, I think the good thing about the Premiership and the increased exposure on TV has been more families are involved in football, ladies, girls, all families now, and I think that it is important that it is recognised that the girls and ladies football needs the support from everyone.
Absolutely, and so going into the academies a bit as well, and how important is it for clubs to give their own sort of homegrown talent the opportunity to break through into the first team and kind of cement a place in with the senior men's football?
Well, I think it's massive. You know, and obviously, I mean, I played for Crewe when they were bringing all the brilliant youngsters through, and they were the best at it. You know, you lost count of the players that have come through. I think it's very important, and I think Cambridge have got some potential here. We've got some real potential stars. You know, when we play Stevenage, you always see one or two. You think, oh, they might go through, get in the first team. I think obviously you have to be very brave as a manager to play them now. I think unfortunately managers are under so much pressure, and it's not even 3 or 4 games. They could have one bad game and that's it. You know, and I think it's very hard now for youngsters to get through. Very hard for managers to trust them. But I think that's where I think the club as a whole could do better and actually make the statement they're going to trust the managers to bring these players through. You know, tell the fans this is what's going to happen, and try and get the fans to buy into it. You know, and I think that's the thing. You know, youngsters will make mistakes; they can cost you games, but long term, you know, if you've got the right youngster, they'll end up being far better than what you've got there, or could be potentially. Obviously, you could sell them for money as well if you need to, but also gives.
And that's where Stevenage are good as well, because they've got Jack Smith who's come in and he's been, you know, getting a few games lately, and he's been playing well in central midfield or sort of right midfield. And you know, you mentioned about, you know, certain players being sold on for money from the academies as well, and you know, Stevenage have done that with Ben Wilmot and George Boyd and a couple of other names in there as well. Keenan Davis is at Villa.
Yeah, so I missed all that question. Sorry, mate. I did miss some of that. You broke up a little bit.
Oh, sorry about that. I was just saying in regards to the academies as well there, that it's great that, you know, that Stevenage are able to bring in the likes of Jack Smith, who's playing now, and other guys like, you know, players that have been sold on, like George Boyd, Ben Wilmot and Keenan Davis at Villa, and a number of other players like that as well,
Yeah, I mean, you need to do it. I think Cambridge sold 4 or 5 of the younger academy boys to clubs like Norwich in the summer, just to keep.
And actually, Stevenage done that as well. They sold a 13-year-old to Manchester City just the other week. Yeah,
exactly. Unfortunately, it's sort of it's a good thing, and in some ways, it's a bad thing because then you have to try and replace them. But I think clubs like Stevenage and Cambridge are always under financial constraints, always worried about the big boys. They've got any good youngsters. The big lads just come in and pay what minimum 20 grand, which is nothing to them, and they'll just take a kid off your hands. Even if maybe that kid will never get anywhere near the first team. You know, they might be. I'm not saying always. They might be better staying at Stevenage or Cambridge and develop there and getting the first team at 18 and 19 and make their way up through that route, rather than being stuck in a big club where they're one of hundreds of talented players.
And the story with Jack Smith is an interesting one as well, because he was actually released by Stevenage and then re-signed, and you know, he's now sort of cemented himself in the first team. He's played the last 3 or 4 games and played very well at that as well. And you know, it shows that even if you get released from a club, then you know, either they or somebody else will still be able to give you an opportunity, and you can still either, you know, get back involved at Stevenage or Cambridge or wherever, or you know, it certainly doesn't mean that you're, you know, sort of completely out of the game. You could be picked up even by a higher division team as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many examples over the years of players. You know, Cambridge have done it. Cambridge have had 1 or 2 that were released, and then they've signed them back through maybe the shadow scheme. And you know, Harry Darling. You know, Harry Darling is now starring at Milton Keynes. He was released at Cambridge or wasn't getting anywhere near it, and then I think they took him back in, and he's gone from strength to strength. So there's loads of. You know, I think it's tough for youngsters, and when they are released, you see loads that even give up playing. But if they can keep at it, there's so many stories, and there always will be, of players that were released or fell out of love with football, but come back a bit older, stronger, and wiser.
And we've only got about 2 more questions, really, and we haven't touched on the FA Trophy run, where we got to the final there, of course, and we played a few games in the trophy there. You were on the bench in the final, but you know, that was a good run to be involved in, no doubt. You know, I'm sure of that, and we've done very well to get through to the final. And I'm sure, you know, even going to Villa Park and stepping out of Villa Park, you know, knowing that of course you're involved in the squad would have been something special for you. Although on the day, of course, we were beaten by, you know, a very good Yeovil side.
No, it was very enjoyable. I think my frustration was I've got myself in the team. I was playing well. And then basically, I think it was the Farnborough game and another game where I didn't play very well, got me out of the team. And, obviously Paul Wilkinson came in, and I think in the semi-final, was it Morecambe?
Yeah.
He made some outstanding saves, and deservedly was in the team at the time, which is hard to admit because, obviously I wanted to play. We were just beaten by a better team on the day. And Yeovil were very, very good. I think they dominated the game, didn't they, from what I remember? I don't think we got anywhere near them. And I'm sort of stood watching the game, warming up, going, we're just getting beat. And sometimes you have to hold your hands up and just go, look, they were the better team on the day. And, and they definitely were.
And they had some really good players in there as well. I think goalkeeper was Chris Will. They had Terry Skipperton as captain. And then up front, they had, of course, Adam Stansfield, who sadly passed away. And, everyone knows Carl Alford as well. The other striker that was up front and also scored in that game because it's time at Stevenage,
Yeah, no, they were a good side. The goalkeeper. I looked at the goalkeeper. Well, he was up and coming. I think he wasn't very old then, but he was up and coming. You could see he was going to have a good career. I knew the reserve goalie. We were having a chat on the sideline about it, looking at watching him, and he's going to be a good one and everything else. And they were just a different class to us on that day. And I think the only thing really, what I would say was. There'd been so many changes that year. Obviously, the manager had changed, and he brought loads of players in, and we'd done well in the trophy, but it just felt so disjointed. It never really felt settled at the club at that time. And and even in the cup run, we did do well, but there were so many players there. It looked like there was too many of us there, and it didn't look like we had that real team bonding. Really, I don't know what happened next year. Obviously, I know Turner didn't last that long, but. It never felt like a team, a proper team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I sort of would agree with that as well. It was a great trophy run, and I believe actually on route to the trophy, actually, the players going there and stuff. Was there a few issues getting to Aston Villa as well?
I can't remember. Do you know I can't remember?
I think there was a couple of issues. I think Stevenage didn't turn up that long before kickoff. I think it was only like an hour or two before kickoff.
Oh, no, we had time. We had time. There might have been.
Yeah.
I can't. It was nothing that doesn't happen in football. There was nothing extraordinary what happened. I remember, to be fair. I think we turned up loads of time, mate. That had no bearing on the game, for what I remember. The boys were there in time. We prepared properly. We stayed overnight, trained properly. No, there was, there was nothing, mate, really, that was untoward or caused us a problem.
No, that might have been a different game I'm thinking of from later years then. So we've got just one more question, really, and you've also had some experiences of being a goalkeeping coach and a manager as well. And how much did you enjoy being involved in those roles? And of course, being a goalkeeping coach is obviously a bit different, or quite a bit different, really, to being a goalkeeper. Although you're able to pass on your knowledge and experience to the younger lads and things like that. But being a manager certainly would have been a different challenge for you, yeah.
Yeah, hang on, just 2 seconds. My battery might go. I've been very lucky. And I think when I broke my leg at Crewe, and to be fair, they took me back as I was already working in the academy with the goalkeepers, and then they took me back as first team goalie coach. So I was lucky enough to coach goalkeepers at Crewe in championship level goalkeepers, first team goalies. Moved down this way, and I always had an ambition to be a manager. At Northwich, to be fair, at 33, the manager was sort of sacked, resigned, and I was asked by the players and the chairman to take the team. I was player manager, and I wasn't ready to do that, and probably not good enough to do that level. But you never know. If I'd have been a couple of years, I think I was 33. Still at my peak as a goalie, so if it had been 2-3 years later, I probably would have jumped at the chance. But around this way, as soon as I retired, playing for Bury Town, what was that, the Eastman League or whatever it was, Step 4. I took the reserve team, which had Nick Pope in, which was nice. I did some goalie coaching with him and ran the team he was playing in as a 16-year-old. And then I've had some good moments. With teams like Mildenhall and Haverhill. I've just become manager again at Gone Manchester Rovers, which is Step 5. We're ambitious to try and get up, and I do enjoy that because it's a different aspect to football, But I love my goalkeeping role. Run my own schools. Always have done. I've coached goalkeepers since I was 22, really.
Okay.
Doing lots of stuff with goalies at Cambridge and my own stuff. So yeah, so every day I'm involved with football, but it tends to be different. Every day tends to be something different. So, which keeps my what brain I've got left ticking over. So I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to be involved in sport at a good level. I've got some good people at Cambridge I work for. Very good environment. We've got some very good youngsters there as well. So I'm lucky. I know I'm lucky, and I might not be a millionaire or anything, but I've been able to play professionally, play conference, play different levels, and coach at a good level as well. So and hopefully for a few more years as well.
All right, we'll wrap it up there, Dean. So thank you very much for doing this chat this afternoon, and I'll let you shoot off because I know you said your battery was low and things like that. But it's been great to chat to you and sort of talk a little bit about your time at Stevenage and about where you're at now as well.
Thanks so much for your time, guys, and good luck. Good luck in the future. Thank you.
Cheers. Hopefully Cambridge can go on, and it's going to hurt me to say this, but hopefully they can go on and get the promotion that they deserve as well.
I hope so. I very much hope so. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.